Hey everybody, and welcome to the Nightly Grind. Tonight is May 26, 2017. Who do we have tonight? We have Shadow.
Who do we have tonight? I don't even know.
We have Shadow,
Bunch of fucking strangers is who they are.
Torrent Soul,
Back.
Saul, and myself, T-Bone, as always. So we'll get right into it. Up this week, or over the weekend, I believe it happened. Wargaming, who makes World of Tanks, sort of made some internet waves, as much as you want to call it that, by threatening a content creator with copyright claims over a negative video that he submitted. Specifically, a YouTuber, Sir Foch, made a video complaining about Wargaming's monetary system in World of Tanks. He focused on a new premium tank called the Chrysler KGF, and he was talking about it being overpowered and pay to win. It requires other tanks to buy premium ammo to penetrate you from the front, and it also pretty much requires you to buy premium ammo to penetrate anybody else because the gun kind of sucks on it. So, as a result, Wargaming threatened to take down his video using a DMCA claim, which
They did take down his video.
He took down his video. They threatened to take it down, and then he took it down voluntarily.
If I threaten to break your legs in order for you to do something and you do it, technically speaking, it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right. So the quote from them, the release that they made was, quote, "To put it bluntly, we asked him to remove the video because he abused his status as a contributor." And just as an aside, contributors get like special perks. They get invited to special events and things like that. Early access to things. And the rest of the quote is, and the content he received from us to create the video that defamed our company image with the tone and language he used, which was no different than any other video he had used. Really. He does, yeah.
Yeah, he's an extremely uses a lot of colorful adverbs.
Yeah.
It sounds like they were trying to sneak a new tank in with a little extra.
Yeah, well, we'll get to it. Let me finish out the quotes. We regret having to go to such extreme measures in Sir Foch's case, but we also don't consider those measures to be censorship because we weren't trying to silence Sir Foch's opinion. We were simply trying to curb the extremely profane language of a member of our contributor program. They also talked about it being. He also talked about it being.
You could do that with a fucking warning.
Yeah. They also talked about like homophobic language, which didn't even exist in his video.
Yeah, the thing with this,
What do you say? This tank is gay?
No, he didn't even say that. Like nothing even remotely close to that.
The main thing about this is simply the point. The guy is a little bit aggressive,
A little off.
But he's
always been the way.
He's always
now
been
it's,
that way.
It's all of a sudden they have an issue with the fact that one of the video they're making him take down is criticizing their business model, particularly something they just did. And it's one of those things where it's like he approached him in the same manner he's always approached every other video he's done. So why is it all of a sudden an issue where they feel he's not representing the company properly when he's always been this way? It's kind of a...
Because they didn't want people to pay attention to what he's saying?
Has he done other videos for these guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a partner or a contributor, which is sort of...
He's a contributor, and
he's known in the system.
The way in which he did the video is the way in which he's done every other video, which is... He's a little bit obtuse in the way he describes things.
Yeah.
So
well, it sounds like they got caught in something is what it sounds like.
Yeah, so after the weekend and the anticipated internet backlash that happened, Wargaming recanted their statement, and I parsed out a few of their quotes from the larger statement that they made. Quote, "We could have handled the situation a lot better. We acted too quickly and over the line. We apologize for the statement. We don't stand behind those claims." And that was specifically about the homosexuality, and homophobia stuff.
Is this a tank that had been out for a while and had been balanced?
It's fairly new.
That gone through a couple patches and been balanced, or was this a brand new tank?
It's a new release tank.
It's a premium tank.
It's a new premium tank, and anybody who's actually played World of Tanks knows premium tanks generally, most of the time, have some type of advantage at the tier they're playing at.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing about the main thing about the tanks is they do earn credits at a higher rate than any other tank in the tier, which to say it's kind of the benefit of using those tanks. But the big issue with this one, and Torn, I don't think Saul, you played the game much at all. Yeah, me, Torn, and Bone have put probably a good chunk of time into World of Tanks.
Yeah.
I have I have technically 2 tier 10s. I think Bone has 2 tier 10s. I think Torn's got 2 tier 10s.
Yeah. So
we've done the grind. We've played the game. The big issue with this tank right now is virtually unpenetrable from the front.
Yeah.
It's one of the tanks, Torn. You know it from like the German series where basically the hull is all forward and the turret sits in the very back.
So you just park up on a hill and you can fire on it all day. And
it's extremely sloped. It's extremely thick. If you're buttoning the tank and keeping the front in. Oh, and the actual turret itself is a domed turret, so it's extremely hard to penetrate. From what I've seen and what I've heard, it's basically at the tier level it is, unless you're firing the gold rounds, you are not penning the tank.
I'm just asking because I think they should give like at least one patch to balance out tanks that are OP, or I mean just to jump on it right as soon as it's out of the gate and say this is a pay to win thing. It just it need to be fixed. It's rebalanced.
It is, but they always do that to a point.
And you're allowed to complain about it and say this needs to be fixed.
Yeah,
this needs to happen in the next patch.
The whole aspect of what the guy did nothing wrong. He even went into like the actual World of Tank model viewer and was showing off the fact the armor is virtually at that tier level. It's virtually you're not going to die. The biggest aspect is that it's virtually unkillable, but the main gun is like literally trash.
It's crap. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where going against it, you're gonna have to fire the actual gold rounds to pen it, and if you're using it, you're gonna be using gold rounds to do any damage.
So they gave it a little bit more extra punch in the armor because the gun is pure shit.
You could argue that point that the
went over.
I can imagine that if it's a premium tank, if it's a premium tank and you're kind of expecting something out of a premium tank a little bit better, and the gun is complete shit, I would expect it to have better turning or a little bit better armor or something to compensate for that.
I don't expect the premium tanks to be better. I just expect them to give you more credits at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I mean, they've always had weird things with that. Some of the premium tanks are ungodly powerful. I mean, back in the day, the KV-5 was basically a monster at its
I think that's
level.
how it's supposed to be. I don't think that's how it really is.
Well, but I mean, either way, it was if you got in the right tier matches, and most of the time, like you always said, the premium tanks always seem to get benefit on placement during matchmaking. You're almost always going to be top tier in the match, which is weird considering that, especially when you're like in the 7-8 level tiers. You're almost always rolling the dice. You may get a 7-8 match. You may be thrown against level 10s, which you're going to basically be fucked.
Yeah.
And if you're using premium tanks, you almost always get it seems you get the benefit. And but they've like I said, the KV-5 has always been a beast. The Type 59, I think you and Bone have that, right, Torn?
Yeah.
I think
that was really good when it first came out.
Really good tank when it came out.
Yeah, it was.
The low was a beast tank. I have the low, but the low became like a death trap. They like nerfed the fuck out of it. Now it's like you get hit once and like everything breaks. So, like I said, there always seemed to be like the plus minus. Maybe it's something that they do that like. We've always just joked with League of Legends how they when the champions first get released, they're really, really OP. And then like after a month, they nerf the fuck out of them because they're trying to drive people to buy that champion.
They've been better at that recently.
So, well, I'm just saying, World of Tanks might be under that same kind of thing where like they release tank.
I think they should give them a patch to, for people to complain and say, look, this thing needs to be readjusted.
Yeah.
They say, okay, we're on it, or fuck you, it's our tank. We decided.
Maybe that's what they'll do. I mean, World of Tanks is always considered to be a very good. I mean, their business practice is a tad bit. It's
gotten more pay to win over the years.
Yeah, but at the same exact token, it's gotten like flat as well. Because remember, back in the day, the only way you could get premium rounds was actually through buying
gold.
For it. Now it's no longer that way. Premium rounds can be earned. You run through credits. Granted, you're gonna have to play the game a lot.
Right.
But it's no longer that fucker over there is basically paying to penetrate my tank.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of flattened that a little bit. But I mean, realistically speaking, if you've played the game and you've put time into the game, most of the fun in the games are the tier 5 through tier 8 matches.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get up to like the tier 8, 9, 10 matches, they become so fucking expensive to play that it's you're playing like 3 days to earn enough money to play like one night with your tier 10s.
And it's boring because everybody just sits back and waits because they're all afraid of wasting
Unless you're
ammo.
driving one of those French fuckers that basically can fire 30 rounds a second, and
Have a clip.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my tier 10 tank destroyer gets fucked by a medium because
The
I
auto
can't
loaders,
kill it.
yeah.
I watch my fucking super cannon bounce, and his little shitty peer shooter fucking killed me.
How many are in the magazine for those?
5 or 4, depending on the tank.
Yeah, I think like the tier 10 heavies are like 3 or 4, and the tier 10
they've
mediums
balanced
and
them.
lights are.
They started out at 6, all of them, and then they rebalanced them.
Those things were a nightmare at the start.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
the
I said,
heavies they dropped down to 4.
That's a
I think.
whole different conversation for a different day because
Yeah.
I
Yeah, all right.
hate,
Let's not get caught up in that.
hate the autoloaders, but
But overall, they were way in the wrong. Pulling down for a DMCA claim, which it wasn't. They just disagreed with what he was saying.
The fact of how they reacted makes me think that this is exactly the way the tank was made to be.
Right.
It really stepped on somebody's shoes, like, oh shit, we need to shut this guy up as fast as we can.
Yeah,
Streisand
this
effect,
this
too,
guy was
actually.
paying attention.
And it's like I said, the guy is a hardcore player. He's one of those guys that lives on the game. He knows everything. He's the bastard that knows every weak point. He's sitting there looking at the World of Tanks model viewer, which I think anybody can download. I think we all did it at one time. We were playing it hardcore.
No, because I'm not a cheater like you.
Well,
Oh, and that's the other thing. He was talking about, potential strategy against it, and he was looking at the tank, and it has these little gun ports in the front. Excuse me, hiccups. Which could be a weak point. But if you look at the model viewer, it's just a red square across.
yeah,
There's no,
the model viewer is
it's
the model viewer is like the entire front of the tank is red.
yeah,
The top plate, like the actual top plate, the deck of the tank is extremely low armored, but the tank is unbelievably tall.
yeah.
So unless the motherfucker's like going down a hill,
Or artillery's
there's
hitting
no
you.
way. Yeah, the artillery maybe can do it, but
And they're gonna hit
and it's
you
like
anyways.
the actual turret is like purple.
Yeah.
It is so unpenetrable. It is like it's literally like purple.
And the model itself, there are places that could be weak points, and if you know about it, and you can shoot that point, and you get benefit. Get a benefit of knowing the tank and where to shoot. But
and yet
no,
again-
the whole thing is just uniformly impenetrable.
Yeah, and everybody that's played World of Tanks knows that this is where you aim for the gun ports, you aim for the vision ports, you
Right.
aim for the actual vision ports on the turret, the hull, and stuff like that. They know that there's literally you get it ingrained in your head. That's where you want to hit that tank at. Even the heavy armored tanks, you know that shooting in the front of it's not going to do a goddamn thing. So you know to aim for the vision ports, especially in like higher tier matches. When you're going against some of the German tanks that are extremely armored, not even to bother aiming, like the E50 or the E100s, which are tier 8, I think tier 9, tier 10s, aren't they? Like one of the only ways you're penning that tank is actually shooting the vision slots on the turret, which is the very top of the tank. It's the only way you can guarantee to do damage against the tank.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's like this tank has those points where your brain goes, I need to aim here, and it's not going to do a goddamn.
Yeah. So overall, it was a clusterfuck.
Yeah. So like I said, we'll see how it burns out. I mean,
it
the people that
seems
play-
to have been somewhat resolved. We'll see.
I think it's not. I honestly, in the long run, I don't think it's going to affect anything. The people that play World of Tanks and enjoy the game know the business model. They know what they're playing. It's not something new. It's just it's probably bad for them on a new player aspect because it makes you really think. But who knows? It might draw people to play the game and buy that tank thinking they're going to get an unfair advantage. So it could be beneficial for them. But like I said, I can't see it hurting World Tanks one way or the other. It just makes their business practice seem a little bit shady.
Yeah.
So.
And most of the people that would hear about this are pretty hardcore anyways. So they've already decided if they're going to play this game by now. So moving on. This was an interesting one that I thought really would be good for us. Microsoft's live streaming service Beam has announced a large update.
Wait, what is it called?
Beam. But
Wait,
we'll get to that.
called
We'll get to that. Has announced a large update to their service this week. For those of you like myself who had never heard of Beam before, it's a streaming service similar to Twitch, but they separate themselves from other live streaming services with a supposedly more interactive nature and low latency. The low latency part is going to be important in a minute. First, they announced that they're changing their name from Beam to Mixer. Both names are terrible.
Beam is better than Mixer.
I don't think either is good.
I know, but Beam is better than Mixer. Mixer sounds like I just joined a music service.
Or like I'm going to a high school dance or something, and that was the name of it.
A cocktail party.
The Mixer.
Beam ain't no better. Beam sounds like something along the lines of there's Trekkies. You know what
Beam
I mean?
me up.
It's like,
Yeah.
Beam me up.
It's more like beamed across the.
Yeah, I understand what they're
stratosphere.
meaning. I understand what they're saying. Their aspect of it. It's you're no longer
Mixer.
streaming. You're beaming.
Yeah, but now you're mixing.
So
they're
I
all
would
terrible
say-
names.
I would say
Now you're mixing.
I would
So-
say either way, the ad department or actual
Yeah.
advertisement department really needs to be sacked and find somebody new.
Yeah.
You know, they could just ask people for suggestions. I bet a lot of people would have come up with some really good
Yeah,
names.
then we'd have
Twitch really-
Streamy McStream Face would be the fucking name of the streaming service. Okay, so I mean,
Twitch really nailed it with their. I mean, that's a great name.
no, it's not.
It's a great name.
Twitch.
Twitch is a great
yeah,
name.
that's a good name.
It's a good name.
It is not.
It's a
good
catchy name.
It's a good name. Anyways, moving on from the stupid name, Mixer, as it's now called. The biggest change that they talked about, and the most interesting, I think, to us, is the addition of co-streaming. This feature lets up to 4 people combine their streams into a single viewer via, like, they split screen it, so it's 4 corners, with a centralized chat interface. The question that I have is, does the low latency mean that when you're playing, they're in sync with one another? I don't know the answer to that yet, but I'm interested to find out.
See, that's one thing that would be very interesting to look into because me and Ninja used to try to do that when we were doing like
That multi-stream thing.
yeah,
multi-Twitch or whatever it's called.
It would
Yeah,
never work.
They weren't even
It would be
remotely
so
close.
out of sync,
Yeah.
it wasn't even funny.
right.
So,
Well, I think they probably had to have solved it. This
Binding
isn't
Isaac.
just a. This isn't a third-party pro. I mean, this is Microsoft. So.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're remotely close,
And you don't have to play the same game. You can broadcast 4 different streams to the same page.
Yeah,
or,
but I mean,
or
for that-
even just cooking. One person can be cooking. One person can be playing game. One person can do PC. One can do Xbox. One
Yeah,
can
the
do
idea is you
on
can
your
get 4
phone.
people doing whatever. Yeah.
There's an app they just added in beta as well, which lets you self-broadcast for now, and they're going to be adding mobile gaming at a later date, so you can play Pokemon Go streaming.
You could do some cool GPS style games.
Yeah,
Like where people go out into the actual world and broadcast
Like
for people.
Pokemon Go.
like Pokemon
Well,
Go.
like the Amazing Race or that type thing.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, or like a
Yeah, I could see
geocache
people
type
doing
of
their
thing.
own like at-home reality show type things.
Yeah, like geocaching
exactly.
and do it as like a game.
Yeah, you do all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah. But I'm really interested in the the split screen, what do they call it, co-streaming. See how
that is
that
an
works.
interesting aspect. It would be
Yeah.
very good for like games where like when you're doing FPSs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Always just seeing it from one person's point of view. So it'd be nice to be able to set that up where you could actually multi-box the show and see like from different people. It'd be even better if it would be interactive,
hmm
so the viewer could actually manually switch.
I think they're
and
making
zoom
that
in
they
on
can
stuff.
switch between
Yeah.
and bring them up.
And they were also
See-
talking about like making chat more interactive with the games that you're playing. So they're trying to integrate the chat more into the actual system itself as well, versus Twitch, which is just a clusterfuck.
Well, yet again, that's the other one of the major aspects we've got though too, is because it's very difficult to be paying attention to the game and trying to read chat at the same time.
Yeah.
So if they could somehow interface that into their even to a point where it actually be an overlay to the actual game, it might be beneficial.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
a
yeah.
point, because if you have enough people actually streaming the channel and spamming the fuck out of you,
So yeah, that could be
annoying.
bad.
Yeah, once you get
Yeah.
5,000 people in there, yeah, it just becomes
Yeah.
too much to handle.
So
The video that they showed off, it was very, very brief. It wasn't worth watching. They showed people playing Halo together. So it was, they were obviously showing optimal conditions. So we really couldn't take much from there. So we'd have to
Optimal
test it in the
conditions.
real world,
yeah.
where somebody's on the
Servers-
West Coast, somebody's on the East Coast. How different are they going to be?
through different networks and different aspects, and not just
Yeah.
East Coast, West Coast. So I mean, there's just
There's gonna be some
there's
lag
a lot of
between-
We're talking like less than 100 milliseconds here, though.
Right. But when we did it
Yeah.
on
We'll
Twitch,
see.
it was significantly more than that. Yeah, if they can
Yeah.
get, if they can do
My,
it,
my internet's significantly faster than it was a few years ago.
well, it's more
when we were
ping
trying
than
those
anything.
stuff.
It's more ping than anything.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
that's
how
just
far
it.
away is the
That's just
server?
it. It's
and
also
you are.
how you got to realize it's also how it's the aspect of how it's communicating with the server and such as well.
Right.
So I mean, even though you might have a very very strong server, you may be communicating with the server extremely well. I might be further away from the server, and then it starts getting to the point where it's exponential. So it's like my stream is taking longer to get to the server, and then from the server to the actual the next point, it'll keep making the stream more and more off sync. So in theory,
It depends on how they do it.
yeah. So it's
I would imagine they just take all four at once and then broadcast
Fingers
them out
crossed.
at the same time.
yeah.
Would be my guess. Yeah,
Fingers
we'll
crossed.
test that out at some point, though. I'm
Yeah, we're definitely gonna
excited
mess
to
with
try
it.
it.
I think Bentham said he was going to get it tonight and try
Yeah.
it out.
I think it's worth a shot.
One of the things with it would be interesting, like I said, we've always wanted to try to do first-person shooters, but it's always really just kind of dull where you only have it from one person.
You're just watching Bone because Bone's
Yeah,
a terrible
and Bones
FPS.
You never
sucks.
want to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not.
The other, the other thing is like for like League of Legends, you could have somebody in top, middle, bottom, and jungle, and you can watch 4 different things at once. And yeah, there's so many possibilities with that. Card games,
Everybody wants to watch League of Legends.
card game, yeah. Well, it's the most watched on Twitch, so I think some people do like to watch it.
It has nothing to do with the fact that the majority of the watch streams happen to have chicks with big tits and fucking hang out. Just totally.
That's not even remotely true.
I think we're gonna see Twitch come out with a co-op stream thing really quickly after.
Yeah, if this starts getting traction, they're gonna
they're gonna have to compete.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, competition drives the advancement of technology, so that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
And now that they have
So-
Amazon backing them, they got the resources, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I wonder how that's gonna work out with the whole net neutrality thing.
Yeah.
If one Microsoft's gonna get a faster lane than a Twitch.
And Twitch, yeah, people start
Yeah.
jumping ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a huge deal.
Well, you got to get it all boils down to who can provide the best service for the best. I mean, generally, it's going to probably all be free, but
Right, yeah.
it's whoever provides the best service. I mean, if for single people, for like a single channel or one person doing one thing, Twitch still might be the best choice.
Mhm.
But for a group of people that are gaming, it could be a very, very better option to actually have use the other service.
I wonder if
So,
Discord is already working on something to integrate it into
Integrate to that.
Discord
Yeah, they
Could-
might.
since their video app is going to be coming out.
Yeah, that'd be nice too. Yeah, and I think one of the big things is going to be the content creators themselves. If they start jumping ship, people will follow them for the most part.
They could do multi-angle
Depends
shots
on who
on
it
things
is.
like, man, can you imagine Bob Ross from 4 different angles?
even more boring.
Afro cam. Afro cam.
Four times the boring. That's great.
4 times the Bob.
That's like, man,
4 times
we could
the-
get Bob Ross in like 3D.
You have 4 Bob Ross episodes at a
wow,
time.
man.
All right,
You could have a
let's move
devil
on.
cam down there by when he bangs the waka waka waka. waka.
The only thing
You
I'm
don't
not
know
excited
fucking
about
time right
with
there.
Mixer is the name. Check us
I
out
think
on
that's
Mixer.
the dumbest name ever.
Check us out on Mixer. How about not?
Look, they just renamed it. They've got time to change it.
They
I
gotta
mean,
be
there's
careful, man.
nothing. Look,
They gotta be
they
very
can say we were just
careful.
trying it out. It didn't work. Everybody's told us, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna change it.
We're
now.
gonna go back to Beam.
No, I think they couldn't legally keep it as Beam, or else they would have.
Oh, that's right. It had to do with international things. So
I
there
think it was
must
a
be a
UK
Beam.
thing.
Yeah, there must be a Beam somewhere else, and then so they couldn't do it. Moving on. Red Dead Redemption 2 is now scheduled to be coming out in spring of 2018, which is quite a ways away.
Yeah, it's a year.
A full year, which is disappointing. But I can't say I'm too surprised. When did they say? They said fall or winter of this year, and yeah,
Probably 4th quarter.
I had figured that was too early. But anyway, so that's that. The next Dragon Age game will be exploring quote distinct lore that hasn't been addressed much to date. The executive producer of the series, Mark Dura, said, quote, What I can say is I have been given considerable autonomy to work on a storyline A storyline bit of lore which is well segregated from other parts of the game. It is a bit of lore which has not been addressed much to date in Dragon Age. End quote. It's not a game that I've played, so I can't say what the heck that means.
I really haven't played it since the second one. The second one really bored the living shit out of me.
The first one was really good though.
First one was fantastic. The second one left much to be desired, and I have not tried Inquisition or Inquisitor or whatever the third one is yet. I have it because I got the Origin Plus.
Right, Inquisition or
it's
whatever.
free on that,
Yeah, so it's I have it. I think I even have it installed, but I just haven't tried.
Haven't done it.
So, but I've heard good things too. So it's supposedly good, even though they said the PC was kind of had some issues with the controls.
The fuck you laughing at, Saul?
It's BioWare.
It's the story of my life. I think I've got it. I've got one or two of the Dragon Age games installed, but I haven't touched them yet.
Yeah, I think I have the first one for
There are a
free.
lot
The
of games
first-
on Steam I
first
haven't
one-
touched.
The first one is extremely well done. It is a very good game. The second one had a lot of potential, but the way the storyline progresses, it never really coalesces into something good. You're basically playing a character, and it takes over a span of 5 or 6 years or something. It's been a long time since I played it. But it every time that you do certain elements of the story, and then it time jumps 3 years. So
Jeez.
it's you never really get into what's going on because you're constantly doing this is 5 years later, and it's I wanted to play the characters. It kind of really felt cheap. It felt like a game that was basically designed to sell DLC, where they weren't really selling you the entire game up front, and the DLC was going to be filling in the blanks kind of thing. And that really, really sucked.
Maybe that was one of the complaints they got the most, and now they're changing that.
It could be. I don't know. I heard that was the main. Like I said, that pulled me off the game really bad, and that's why I really wasn't into getting the third one.
Yeah.
But I heard the third one was they kind of went back to the roots of the first game, which was more story based, more open world, and progressive, rather than very, very linear, very, very time jumpy bullshit, and just. So, recycled is the best way to put the second one. Recycled, everything is the same. They literally just took the same game elements and recycled them, or changed the color set to just make it look different, but it's the same fucking thing. It was very piss poor done. So it'd be interesting to see what they do.
All right.
Alrighty. So Resident Evil, the final chapter, which came out recently, as it turns out, will not be, in fact, the final chapter.
I'm shocked.
a reboot of the franchise will apparently consist of at least 6 films.
Wait.
Yeah. Yes.
Movies?
Yes.
Yes.
Movies.
Yes.
Yes.
No other information at this time.
Hasn't zombies kind of fizzled out?
No.
Apparently, the last movie did well enough to justify 6
Walking
more.
Well,
No.
That's less about zombies and more about.
The Resident. I'm fairly sure that this is going to continue the reboot for the Resident Evil, the last chapter, new Resident Evil. I think the Resident Evil just came out last year, the one with Mila Jovovich. I think that is the last one. So the more than likely, that's the reason why they killed that series off, so they can now use Resident Evil and then
Start over again.
It started over.
yeah, they can.
Right.
Because Hollywood is so fantastic in writing, they have to rehash the same shit over and over again.
Is this a
It's superhero movies and shit that's been done before. That's what we're seeing the most of
Pirates
right
of the
now.
Caribbean
And
5.
in a lot of fucking aspects, the majority of the fucking superhero movies have been done already. I mean, we're on fucking element for the 5th version of fucking Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah,
We're on the
Spider-Man.
5th version or the 6th version of fucking Batman. I mean, literally, come on. The 3rd or 4th version of Superman. I mean, come on. There are some new stuff, mostly Marvel, but yeah, I mean, they're just rehashing the same shit over and over.
But they can do it much better now. Because they have CGI.
Now that shit looks really, really
Because they
good.
have CGI now. Anyways, so yeah, Resident Evil. 6 more movies I will never go see.
Yeah, I would see. Let's go. I'll go into further on that. They might be good. They may not be good. If they're basing it on pure CGI, it'll probably be shit. The thing that made the Resident Evil series good, the Mila Jovovich versions of it, is they were goofy. they never took themselves like really really serious. Their movies are entertaining because of that.
Yeah.
I highly doubt these.
They were extremely violent, but they weren't extremely
They were
serious.
campy.
Yeah,
They were campy.
yeah.
They had like that really like just, you know, I don't know how to describe it, like campy.
How we I don't know, they was constantly trying to top themselves each scene.
Yeah. And it's just, and it's the thing is they never took it seriously. It always took it. It had that video game feel of the original Resident Evil of, you know, Jill, the master of lock picking. You know, it really felt like a badly. It never really took itself 100% serious and everything. The dumb shit the characters pulled off, the bullet time, it felt like a really bad video game, and that's what made the fucking movies, in my opinion, entertaining.
Yeah.
But I see them trying to take it probably the way the last sort of thing was. They definitely are going with the survival horror element, more along the lines of Outlast and shit like that, where it's more survival horror, which kind of goes into the original Resident Evil, but you know, you actually had to shoot shit, and they took that out of the new game, I heard, or at least took not really as much as the old games were. So I would think the movies are probably going to be right down that alley. And it's all going to be cheesy fucking jump scares and just the most cliche horror fucking shit possible. And that's going to be crap. It's going to be crap. Because it's just overdone.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. Speaking of things that have been done before, I'll skip ahead one to Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be starring in a new Terminator movie produced by James Cameron.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's going to beat you to death with his walker.
That's all we have on that. That's the
He's
only
definitely more plastic than metal in this one.
I don't know. His hip replaced hip or something is metal. So,
you know, CGI can do wonders these days.
You can. It is amazing.
It can't make
That's
it
true.
any better than no.
I've heard a lot of stars of behind the scenes have already been getting scanned in, full body scanned in for the future.
Yeah, they're doing that so
ahead.
because why not let a new generation of actors come out when you can
that way they don't have to
keep using the old ones.
That way they don't have to get $6 million of plastic surgery to look like they're melting when they still want to act later, you know?
Yeah, and that way you don't have to worry about
Or
new talent coming out. You can just CGI everything into the movie.
Yeah, if they reboot their franchise, then they like in Star Wars, they can always just
that's like I
put them in.
I read something fucking funny. I think it was on Immigrant or fucking earlier today. It was talking about the somebody made like the best way to do the Mummy, which was basically at the beginning of the Mummy movie, Tom Cruise and the blonde. They referred to it as the hot blonde chick. I don't know what the actress is, but they go into the crypt of the mummy, and Tom Cruise opens the casket, and out pops Brendan Fraser and shoots him, and he starts freaking out like, what the hell's going on? And whatever the girl's name for the room, why the hell did she mummify me? And the blonde chick asks him what happened, and they just replay the original Mummy, and as if he's telling the story of what happened.
Nice.
And at the end of the movie, he's just like, "What year is it? Oh, it's modern times." And then they just reboot the series with Brendan Fraser.
Poor Brendan Fraser.
Sorry, I was laughing my ass off at work reading that shit.
Brendan Fraser is the Tobey Maguire of the Mummy.
Hey, the first one was a fucking great movie. It really, really was.
Oh, I love the Brendan Fraser movies. They were great.
I like the first one.
Encino Man.
Encino Man, yeah.
Nobody remembers.
Pauly Shore, yeah.
I remember that one, yeah.
Classic,
No.
classic
Fraser's
90s
first.
films.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Let's move on to the last piece of news, and then we'll take a break and come back for videos. Sony Pictures has decided on a new direction for its film adaptation of the Uncharted series. Sony has decided to turn the Uncharted movie into a prequel. It will feature Tom Holland, who you currently know as Spider-Man, which we talked about previously. He will play the role of Nathan Drake as a younger person. My guess is that they're going to be growing the role as he gets older. So we got ourselves a new Indiana Jones, essentially. So as he gets older, the character gets older, and they can tell the story. That's my guess.
They have a guy that can play the character perfectly, and I don't know why they don't use him.
Yeah, well...
Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, he looks just like him. Yeah.
And he's got the perfect fucking attitude. He can just take the captain from Firefly, and that's Drake pretty much. So
he's getting a little bit older now, though, to play Nathan Drake.
True. Why
But
not just CGI his ass in like Clark suggested? We'll just use him forever.
you were just complaining about CGI. Now you want to do it.
I'm just being facetious, but I'm just saying.
No, you really wanted it.
You know it. Yeah. I want another season of Firefly too, but that ain't gonna happen.
That's never gonna happen. So yeah, that's I guess exciting. I don't know. I really hope we can get a good video game movie.
I think could be a really good movie.
Has the
I don't
potential
know
to
about
be a good
prequels.
movie.
I don't know where this prequel thing came from.
Well, it's just where they're starting the story from.
Well, they got to
essentially.
realize who here has actually played Uncharted.
I know the storylines, but I've never played them.
Well, it depends on what you're going, but the games do have prequels leading back to his childhood, showing
Yes.
how he became how he picked up the.
And
He's basically
him and
a
his friend.
fucking thief.
Him and his friend.
Let's-
I forget the guy's name.
Yeah,
They talk
the
about,
old
but
guy.
that's what they think this storyline might take pieces
So
from. Is that
they easily could do that and actually show the character growing up. So I don't see that as a bad thing per se. But the other thing is that it's one of those problems. The only problem I can see with it is, excuse me, it's very hard to do that to a point because how is the story going to get interesting? You know what I mean? It's like with the Indiana Jones movies. You started off with Raiders of the Lost Ark. You're dealing with the Ark of the Covenant. You're like at the pinnacle of archaeology, unknown shit.
yeah?
All right, we're not even going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Why not?
And then
The
we're going
best
to go.
in the series.
And then you're going to go to the other like.
Why you don't talk about it, Dr. Jones?
Shut up, short round. Then you go to the other aspect, which is literally the holy grail of archaeology, the holy fucking grail. So it's such an amazing thing that actually is a catchphrase, So it's like that. But I mean, if you're a kid and you're learning the ropes, you're not really like an experienced treasure hunter character.
You want to talk about Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
No,
It doesn't exist. What?
that doesn't exist.
What movie? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I never heard of it.
So it's one of those things where it's like
the one where he hides in a fucking frigid air to survive a nuclear blast at the start.
That doesn't set.
It was
Wasn't that-
Leadline,
Wasn't
damn
that?
it.
Wasn't that in Predator? Didn't he do that in Predator? Anyways.
No, but either way, so it would be interesting. I'm interested to see it, but it's one of those things where to me it's bad. And the reason I'd say it's bad is because it's hard to build for a character when the character is just kind of learning. What is he going to do? What's the storyline going to be based around? And you got to be careful not to blow your load too soon. I mean, it's literally that's. What I'm saying is that if you do something really really awesome storyline with a character that's supposedly like young and in training, how do you top
Who
that?
cockeyed the fuck
It's
out of
not
that picture?
a gun
That's
metaphor. It's a gun metaphor. Your wad. Blow
Sure it
your
is.
wad.
Too soon. Yes. Hey, you're not making it better, Bone. Just
It's from the Civil War. They think it came from. It dates back to.
okay. But either way, it's one of those things where it's kind of hard. The character's supposed to be growing. It's difficult to actually build that type of movie around a character that shouldn't have that level yet. You know what
Why?
I mean?
They could just do a 3-movie deal and build the character up over the first,
It can't be
Yeah,
that
but I mean,
difficult.
That way you can evolve a character.
It can't be that. Yeah, that's true.
If you're trying to build a character, it's difficult to do it in a movie because you have an hour and 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours.
Star Wars
That's a
did it.
rarity. Star Wars remade the first fucking movie. They
Yeah,
changed
but the
names.
first movie did it. That's what I'm trying to say. Star Wars 3, if you want to call it that, or 4. Star Wars 4.
In Star Wars, wait.
Star Wars: A New Hope did just that.
No, it's the first Star Wars because we do not consider the fucking prequels anything other than shit.
That's my point.
Star Wars: A New Hope
Okay.
did exactly
1, 2, and
that.
3 of Star Wars prove that we
And
should
what
just
did-
skip
and
the
what-
prequels?
Wait a second. Wait. What? And thank you, Torn. Thank you.
It's not a prequel to another movie. There is no
But
movies yet.
What happened in the first fucking movie? Was it just fucking 2 hours of Luke?
Dude,
doing
I haven't
nothing but
played
training?
Uncharted. I haven't played
No, but
Well, they
Uncharted, so
blow up
I'm
the
a blank
fucking
slate.
Death Star at the end. I
Yeah, you
sometimes-
don't think he can
you know-
blow up the metaphorical Death Star in a learning?
No,
That's
I-
impossible.
No, what I'm saying is that say if what if you're what is he going to be doing? In
The hero,
story?
it's a hero's. All they have to do is a
In the
hero's
original-
journey, just like A New Hope did.
In the-
If
in
they
the
do a hero's
prequel-
journey, they have a good movie.
In the prequel stuff in Drake's, I haven't played I think the most recent version, but in the prequel stuff in the Drake's game, he was basically stealing shit that was related to quote unquote his family heritage, which was like coins that were by Sir Arthur Drake, basically, you know, and stuff like that. He was doing very simple things.
So probably
You can't
start.
have it in. It's very. Go ahead.
That's what you open with. You open with a movie where he's just stealing shit from his family.
So you open up with a movie which is basically going to be like the Thomas Crown Affair, where he's breaking into museums and stealing artifacts,
And then-
for no other reason than he wants to see them because they're his.
And
In his mind.
then you get the thing immediately with it, like he's on a job or whatever.
If you
He's
wanna
in some place, he finds something, some
We're gonna
information about something that he wants to go and then steal, and that's the end goal of the movie.
Yeah, that's
We're gonna go,
what.
Well, wait. We're gonna.
That's
go
what you're
back.
supposed to do while you wait for nightfall before you go into an area. You lament on the past.
Yeah, see, that's exactly, Torn. That's how you actually do it. We're gonna go back to Indiana Jones.
Like MacGyver style.
Look at Indiana Jones 3, the first 20-30 minutes of that movie, where basically you got to see River Phoenix run around playing young Indiana and giving backstory to his character. It
Yeah, that
wasn't
only took 10 minutes.
It didn't need to be the entire movie because
Yeah.
you already knew who the character was to a point, and it gave you information why he's afraid of snakes. His extreme psychotic problem with archaeology and artifacts. It belongs.
You
in
already
the
knew he was
museum.
afraid of snakes, though.
Yeah, but that was the third
But it
movie.
gave
though.
you the reason why.
Yes, but they didn't need to tell you he was afraid of snakes already,
You
because you
already
already
knew it
knew
from
he
the
was
first
afraid
movie.
of snakes.
But what I'm saying is that you can do that. That's how you do a young character showing. You do not need to make an entire movie about that character. You know, there's more.
Well, he's not going to be like
fundamental
10
aspects.
years old.
Well, he's not. He's gonna
He's
be
what,
fucking-
19 or 20? He's probably
20
20 years old.
Yeah, but
No, I'm sorry, it's uneducated.
Anyways, I think they can do it.
I like to see him do it. It's interesting. It would be, you know, but
I never
just,
played the game, so I'm a blank
don't
slate.
think
So
I
what?
don't think it's gonna be good.
Me too.
Throwing a prequel at me is not going to help me in any way, shape, or form because I don't know the characters. I don't know. I mean, you could just introduce the characters to me.
I'll use the Yahtzee aspect. He's a white supremacist that goes around and kills colored people. That's what Yahtzee calls him. He calls it the most racist game ever. So
Okay.
that's because the only thing he kills is basically Mexicans, and all the henchmen in the game are always British, or they're anything but white guys. That's what he
Yep.
calls it. Yeah, it's the running joke he's got with that series.
Okay, yeah, you should probably explain that out instead of just going with the
The
Yahtzee, you know, KKK.
So that's what he literally called it. Like, that's, watch any of the fucking reviews he does on it. That's the one thing he calls it.
Okay.
So.
All right, so that's it for regular news. We will do our outro, and if you're watching live, we will be back in a second to go on to the movie and game trailers. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe and check us out on our other websites, which will be on the outro screen in a second. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in a minute if you're live.